Last we left you, we were happily careening down Bolivia's notorious
Death Road!
Where Chad lost the clutch and had to be rescued by a road crew in the most precarious of locations, which finds us here, clinging to the side of a landslide, desperately trying to extract ourselves from our latest misadventure.
All right, well, we got no clutch, so I'm gonna try to adjust it to see if I can get any friction out of it, but right now she's not budging.
Once again, Chad set off on the all too familiar task of sucking just the right amount of slack out of the clutch cable.
All right, fingers crossed.
Too much, the bike won't shift, and we're going nowhere. Not enough, the bike won't move, and we're going nowhere.
Not enough.
Just right, and he can slam the bike into first gear and squeeze just enough friction out of our freshly glazed clutch plates to get himself back to civilization and leave me here to join the road crew. But to his credit, once he got the bike back on level ground, he eventually came back for me. As it turns out,
Where'd you get onto?
this is just as steep as it looks.
You think it has enough to get us?
Yeah, as soon as we get going, it's starting from a dead stop like that's the problem. So hopefully it's gonna cool down enough to get us the hell out of here.
That's why they call this the Death Road.
That's more of a trail than a road, really. Call it the death trail.
And nowhere for the faint of heart or the weak of clutch. But with that finally behind us, it was time to embark on the most dangerous section of the death road, where two-way traffic was at one time forced to jockey for position on a one-lane road, bordered by sheer cliffs plunging upwards of 600 meters, almost 2,000 feet into the jungle below. The final resting place of thousands of motorists, passengers, motorcyclists, and, since the late 90s, an estimated 20 mountain bikers. But with sheer drops, the remote location, occasional heavy rain and thick fog, the actual death toll is unknown, as many people on their way to or from La Paz have simply disappeared, never to be heard from again. With this, the San Juan Falls, combining the erosive effects of a waterfall, slick rocks, standing water, and a bit of mud thrown in for good measure, being the most notorious section of one of the world's most notorious roads.
Yeah, this is cool. You're in the waterfall.
Oh, this is so hot.
Jesus. That's a long way down. You gotta be careful on these rocks, they're super slippery.
Okay, to the left.
The death road is officially a left-hand road. And while that may seem inconsequential for those of us on two wheels, if and when the North Yungas Road ever reopens to four-wheel traffic, which is doubtful, drivers are encouraged to take note, especially those attempting to navigate the road from top to bottom.
Yeah, slippery is right.
Which, unless you're on a mountain bike, is strongly discouraged. Driving from the bottom up gives you the distinct advantage of hugging the inside of the road when encountering oncoming traffic, while allowing those driving downhill along the outer edge of the road the ability to lean out of the window and gauge whatever inches separate their tires from the abyss below. Not our idea of a good time, but we're far from being the voice of reason, so judge for yourself. After stopping for a few photos, we took our sweet time savoring the last few twists, turns, sheer drops, and epic views along this iconic stretch of dirt. Before stopping for a few more photos. And riding the final stretch back to Tienda Doña Beni and the beautiful pavement of Highway 3, where we took a moment to hang out with the kids, reflect, and wax poetic over our follies.
Death Road! Oh, sh**. Well, it was all fun and games until the Death Road turned into the Death Trail and the death of the clutch. Oh, man. I've got to be doing something wrong. I need to get right with Jesus.
With our tour of this beautiful country coming to an end, we had just enough time left on our tourist visas to spend one day touring La Paz before heading north into Peru. Already enchanted with the city after our brief stint, we planned to take full advantage of the opportunity, and Chad intended to actively search out answers to some of the more troubling questions that have plagued him since our introduction to the country. Who or what is Pachamama? Who is stealing bodies in Bolivia? And why? So, we elected to take a walking tour of the city, including El Mercado de las Brujas, the Witches' Market, to seek out those answers, which, as it turns out, were far more disturbing than we had imagined.
go, bro. What are you doing? Whoa. Woo, yeah. Permiso. Ay, gracias. Oh, in hell. Some trip. Good. Ah. Oh, jeez.
This is La Paz's Old Quarter. It's a great place to take in the sights and sounds of the city. And on its outskirts, an area known as La Hechicera, or El Mercado de las Brujas. Covering roughly 1 square block, the colorful shops are easy to spot, often adorned with bottles of potions, medicinal herbs, serums, idols, and perhaps most conspicuously, dead llamas. A lot of dead llamas. Chief among them, dried fetuses, offerings, for a price of course, to Pachamama, an indigenous deity described in Incan mythology as a fertility goddess presiding over matters of love, life, health, and harvest, who just so happens to fancy the occasional animal sacrifice. And, for serious matters, a human one. Countless concoctions for everything from infertility to impotency are available in colorful packages wrapped with a bow. But for more off-shelf occasions, the yatiri will be more than happy to cook up something special. Which brings us to the subject of the missing bodies.
There's a couple of exhumed graves over there.
That one too.
There's a bunch of open caskets, but there's no bodies.
Yeah, that one's open right there. There's nothing in there.
That's weird, man.
It's like pried open. Like
Yeah.
the metal is like bent.
Yeah, it's like someone came in here and literally stole the bodies.
I know. That baby too. The baby's gone.
The baby's gone, and there's a bunch of baby graves up there as well.
Yeah.
This is one of the weirdest cemeteries I've ever been in.
Exhumed for an annual ritual called Dia de las Natitas, during which anonymous and random human skulls are adopted by the living, who put them on display in their homes to provide advice, direction, and protection. An annual ritual still practiced by tens of thousands of Bolivians, requiring tens of thousands of human skulls. In an odd marriage of Inca ritual and Catholicism.
There's a body in there.
But that, as it turns out, is just the beginning of the story. A story often dismissed as urban legend. A story that is officially denied. And a story that reaches far beyond the witches' market and into the shadows of the city. And there's no better way to explore this city than via Mi Teleférico, a network of cable cars stretching over 30 kilometers, nearly 20 miles, high above La Paz. So enjoy these wonderful views while we regale you with this horrible story. A story that for many hapless addicts residing in flop houses known as Elephant Cemeteries ends with them as the ultimate offering to Pachamama. The subject of rumor, street art, books and film. Cementerios de Elefantes are etched in the folklore of La Paz. Hidden among apartment complexes, strip malls, and even at times disguised as normal bars, they often become the final resting place for alcoholics who willingly drink themselves to death on a cocktail of guabira, a 96 proof alcohol, a process that can take days, if not weeks. Seen as having nothing to live for, homeless people and/or addicts are kidnapped from these cementerios de elefantes or dragged off the streets in the dark of night, bound and placed in the foundations of a new building as the concrete is being poured. Permanently entombed as an offering to Pachamama to protect the building and its inhabitants from misfortune. A ritual, despite being dismissed as urban legend by the authorities, that is, in fact, still practiced to this day. And with that, as our day on the streets and high over the city was coming to an end, it was time to put the beautiful city of La Paz, along with its dark secrets, in our rear-view mirror, and head north to Frontera Desaguadero, on the Peruvian border, and the shores of the amazing Lake Titicaca. But with only 100 kilometers to go, as should come as no surprise, Bolivia wasn't done with us yet. No more than a stone's throw from the border, we stumbled into Tiwanaku and into an Aymara celebration, also known as the Andean New Year.
Holy s***. I do not know what's going on here, but I gotta find out.
And this just so happens to be the biggest celebration in the world. Including traditional music and dance, rituals and offerings to Inti, Father, Son, and Pachamama, Mother Earth. An amazing thing to behold, no doubt.
Muchas gracias. Muchas gracias. Huh? Oh, no.
But as we just learned, perhaps not the best place to get drunk.